Welcome to tonight's Code Night. We will talk about Microsoft Azure, and I looked this up several times on Google. It depends from which area of the world you're coming from. Azure is, I think, the American way. That's how they kind of pronounce it.
No, Azure is American.
Azure, actually, yeah.
Azure is like
I heard one Australian guy pronouncing it, and I don't know the British way. But Azure is the correct way, so that's how. Okay, who am I? Know this guy over here on the picture. My name is Bojan Skrchevski. Good luck pronouncing that, by the way. There's a few guys here who can pronounce it, but not all of them. Or commonly known to you all as the Bojan. That's my artistic name. Yeah, I'm an artist, obviously. This is my personal website, blog, and my Twitter, if anyone wants to hear about me yapping about stuff. So, what are we here to talk about? Cloud. I'm going to go briefly what cloud is in general, what it represents, overview of Microsoft Azure, services it provides. Briefly, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible because there's a lot to go through, so be patient. If you get bored, I'll notice and I'll just go through it faster because I want to show some practical stuff as well, which you will see along the way. As the talk progresses, we'll try to show how to do stuff in the portal and so on. And I was thinking in the end, maybe we could, if some of you, or I don't know, maybe all of you have worked with Microsoft Azure and share some personal experience, some way of using it or whatever. We can take that afterwards. So, the beginning. Let's say, for the sake of this talk, that we are about to create a smallish product company and that we need to make a decision for the future on infrastructure. So we have a product, we have a pretty good idea what we want to do with it, but then we need to figure out how we're going to set up the infrastructure. So, which questions lie ahead when we ask ourselves that? We need to think about physical servers, right? Buying them, installing OS, installing databases on them, installing runtimes and everything, right? And furthermore, we need to think about how we grow in the future. And by grow, I mean we would basically need to predict our peak usage in the future and base our decision on how many servers we need to buy and install during that time. So if we say, okay, in 3 years' time we're going to need 50 servers, so we're going to have to plan for that and buy maybe 20 now and 50 in 3 years. But can we really commit to that? That's a question. So then we would need to basically predict the future in a way, right? So do we invest in service on premise from the very beginning? Of course, there's a question. You can also use like a sort of a in-between hybrid solution and rent servers from other people, like physical servers, and do whatever we want with them, right? But basically what I just said, we would need to commit to what we think we know about the future. So where's the adaptability in that? Where's the flexibility in a way? What other choices do we have? Cloud to the rescue. Ta-da! This is where you can clap now. But no, just kidding. And what is a cloud, basically? If you had to describe it in one simple sentence, how would you
Someone else's
discuss?
server.
Or a rented infrastructure, right? It is basically that. Someone else's server. We are renting the infrastructure because we don't know what we need to buy, or maybe we don't want to invest in a operations department which will take care of it or whatever. So how does it look? Looks something like this. This is a data center of Microsoft in Dublin, Ireland, a new one that they're building. And this is how it looks like on the inside. So, I'm pretty sure you've all seen this picture so far. It's an overview of cloud services in general. It's a comparison of what you would have to deal with if you have your servers on premises, as opposed to these next three are in the cloud. So like I said, you basically would need to think about the hard drives you buy, networking like hubs and switches and whatnot, virtualizations, installing OSs, runtimes and whatnot. And I've actually worked with this kind of on-premises sort of thing, and it's not fun to deal with. You would rather spend your time thinking of other stuff and how to scale and load balance and stuff. But yeah, and that's me. Some companies have a pretty good arguments to have this sort of on-premise hosting, as opposed to most of us, and if you go back to the beginning of the talk, our small product company, Imaginary, which I have a name as well of the product, you will see later. We don't need that. We're small and we don't have operations people, and we want to basically get rid of some of the responsibilities that we have. And depending on what parameters we have as input, maybe we decide to just have other people manage the physical part of the servers, as networking and storage and virtualization and stuff like that for us, or we can have them take care of everything, the OS even, runtime, memory, CPU, whatnot. Or we can use software as a service and just use the software directly from the cloud, if that's what works for us. If we can use like Google spreadsheets to calculate, right? But these three are basically, the two in the middle are the backbone, I would say, of Azure services in the cloud. Infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. Now, we will go through Microsoft Azure, which is Microsoft application platform for the public cloud. And before we go to these, I just want to say we're gonna Microsoft has split up these their offer in another way. So I'm gonna try to refer to another document they have during the talk. I'm not gonna go through what infrastructure as a service and platform. I'm gonna go split them up like that. But I will try to mention during the during the overview go through. So everything you basically do in Azure, you do it through this portal, which looks like this. Okay, don't have Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. How do I share that? The browser. Ah, there it is. Okay. So now I'm not able to see it. Okay, but I can. It's not a problem. I can pull it the other way back when I need it. Doesn't matter. So this is how the portal looks like. Here you manage everything you need in Microsoft Azure. You add, so this is your credits, if you have any, and days until they refill. We have with I have with the Enterprise MSDN, we have some credit that we can use, which I use to play around with Azure. And here's where you add new services and list existing ones. From here, everything you have installed and basically manage. Yep. We will come back to that. The second important thing about Azure is this guy, pricing calculator. Because why we want flexible cloud solutions if we spend a lot of money? We don't want to do that. So this is a very important tool to make calculations about your expenses. So from here you basically add the services you want, and you say what kind of pricing tiers you want, and they charge by the hour. Actually, this goes down, I think, up to the minute when they calculate the actual usage. And they actually charge by the time you actually use it. So if you create the VM, use it for a while, and take it down, they will only charge for that part of the time you've used it. So they won't charge you for the whole month. So going through those two, okay, let's see which components do we have. Now, I'm gonna quickly make another digression and show you this. This is the infamous infographic of Microsoft Azure services. This is a catalog of services divided, and they explain the three most important levels of virtualization that you can get in terms of interface as a service, cloud services, and app service fall into the category of platform as a service in a way. So the way I'm going to go through these services is using this one. So I'll refer to it from time to time, at least for the most important ones. So when it comes to web and mobile, we have web apps. Of course, everybody uses web apps. And by the way, just another note. When you get, I'm going to share this presentation with you, and for each one, each of the services, I put a hyperlink to like intros and explanations and documentation. So when you go through it, you can just click on it, and you can read more about the services if you're interested. But web apps, it's the number one used service on Azure. It's a platform as a service, sort of at its best. They put most effort, I believe, in this one. It offers a platform as a service way of managing your web application in a way that you can do everything through the portal. You don't need to take care of hosting or, I don't know, balancing, scaling. You have to take care of it a little bit, but not a lot. So we have mobile apps. It's a backend for support for mobile applications with the notification hubs and backends and APIs that you can use for mobile apps from all of them, iOS, Android, Windows. Then you have API apps. These three fall in the category of what they call Azure apps. It's all like one same background that they share, sort of. API apps, we all know what they are, right? Okay. Notification hubs is a scenario where it's part of mobile apps, but they've separated it, so you can use it as a separate service if you want to like have universal push notifications for scenarios like you have a website and you can use a notification hub if some user does something and you want to push notifications to the mobile apps. So that's what this is used for. And then you have the IoT hub, which is fairly new, I believe, and it was free, at least it was free until I checked last to use. So it's a backend for IoT and it uses all the common protocols that IoT devices use. It's a bidirectional communication with the IoT devices, so you can send notifications to the server and the server can send notifications back to you. And you can connect it to any of these other ones. So, web apps. I would like to show you now how easy it is to create a web app in here. So when you create a web app in Microsoft Azure, you have several options. You can either, because it's very well integrated with Visual Studio, you can create the app in Visual Studio and deploy it directly to Azure, and it will create a new website for you, or you can do it through the portal and set it up properly and then have Visual Studio deployed to that web app. So,
but who uses Visual Studio as a deploy tool in real life?
I don't know, maybe someone does.
I've never understood that. I thought they had, but they kind of, yeah, it's just strange.
Maybe people have scenarios where they do that. Not everybody has like several staging. And by the way, you can set it up. I will try to show that later. You can set it up to check in into GitHub and then deploy from GitHub. And you can also set it up to run tests before you deploy, whether from Visual Studio or from GitHub as well. So the name of our app will be Azurelicious, by the way.
Azurelicious.
Yeah, Azurelicious. That's the name of our app.
Skrchevski-licious.
Yep. We create a new resource group. And plan and location, I guess we need to create a new one. So this is where you have to decide where you want to host which data center. So service plan, okay. We don't want a Central US, we want North Europe. And then you have the pricing tiers. And this is where you want to, this is where you make the decision how you want to start with hosting your website in Azure. So you basically have these three are the starting points in a way. You also have a free tier, but that one is you're sharing part of a already existing VM somewhere in the cloud. So that one is when you really want to experiment with the stuff. But the ones for serious applications would be these. And I would go for the standard for start, because there you have 50 gigabytes of storage. For start, you have one core and 175 gigabytes of RAM. You have one IP. You can have your custom domain connected to it. And you can have up to 10 instances for autoscale, which I will show you later how to do. You have daily backup and 5 slots for web app staging, which is sort of staging deployment slots. And traffic manager geo availability is, I will talk about that a little bit later, what it is. But let's start with the standard one for now. So what I have here is, where's my, I've already added this one to GitHub, the Azure-licious, and I already have it here open in Visual Studio. So I will just, this one is just a simple web page. It's just Azure-licious, nothing spectacular. But I will try to make a change to it. Or should we first deploy from Visual Studio? Or you already know how that is done? Or maybe I can do it anyways. Right? That is done very simple. You publish from here. You choose from the publish menu, you choose, okay, I need to log in. Okay. So it will find my subscription here, resource group. Why is it not? Okay, it didn't find my.
You never pressed create, I think.
Oh, didn't I? Sorry about that. Ah, there it is. Just ABC. What's the next error? Yeah?
It forces you to press buttons. No, there is a button.
Okay. I fixed the error. What is he complaining about? Okay, Azure-licious.
Is it in beta?
No, it's not.
Is the subscription okay? There's no green check mark beside it.
Yeah, it's okay.
So we try turning it off and on again?
Maybe we should. Maybe we should. Okay, let's try to turn it off and on again.
Demo guides are not having.
Turning it off and on again. Let's see what it remembered. Okay, something obviously went wrong. Yeah, there's even an animation.
Microsoft always invents some
There.
new spinners.
I didn't pin it to dashboard, but it doesn't matter. It's here. Or it's creating. No, it's deploying. So that's going to take a while. But in the meantime, I just can go through this. So, from here, we are supposed to see it here somewhere. Okay, A, no. Yeah, I guess these things take a little time. Ah, there it is, succeeded. So now we're supposed to see it. I'm gonna go through it again. Ah, there it is. Okay. See, and back here it appeared, if you saw it, deployment slots. So we don't have any yet, but we could potentially deploy it to one of the slots. And there is the same, exactly the same configuration as the real thing.
So how do we access that slot?
It's you mean from the outside? It's just a a new address, like if you have Azurelicious, it's Azurelicious slot 1 or something. But I will try to show that a little later. So let's just click publish. Again, it takes a while. But let's go back to the portal. Azurelicious, where is it? Ah, there it is. Ta-da, deployed. So that's direct deployment from Visual Studio. What else you can do is set the website see these are these slices over here. They're used to, they go like rightwards the whole time. So you kind of, at least they think they know where you are in the settings the whole time. But let's check out the properties. And here you have all sorts of IP addresses and stuff if you need to look into that. Deployment source, that's the one we want to see. Choose source. And here you can choose team services, or in our case we want to use GitHub. So let's choose GitHub. Just project, okay. Personal, I use my personal. Choose project, Azurelicious. And here you can choose the branch as well from which you want to deploy. And you can set up even a performance test for it. So let's say this one. And now it's setting up the deployment source. There it is, success. And what we will do is change Azurelicious rules. Again, nothing spectacular, but serves the purpose for this demo. And then I'm using this one for now. I'm just trying it out, really. The GitHub for Windows. I don't know if anyone's used it, but I don't use it every day. It's Azurelicious rules. Commit. We push that. Okay. So now it should pick that up fairly soon. And deploy that from GitHub directly, because we just checked into master branch, so it picks it up and deploys it there. What you can also do with this standard pricing service is you could set up those deployment slots. I think I went to the wrong place there. Not ABC, but this one. Settings. There it is. So there it is. So we set up a deployment source. We set up deployment slots. If we add one named slot 1, and we can clone this is cloning of configuration. So what you can do here is, okay, right now what I'm doing is I'm copying the exact same copy with the configuration. That means with the with connection strings and everything. So it's an exact duplicate together with the GitHub deployment. So if you click OK here, we would have the deployment slot. I don't know how long it takes to create it, but yeah, it did. You can set this one, for example, deploying for another branch, and then you can test it, do whatever you want with it. See, if you browse it here, it says Azure slot 1. So you can test it out, and if you're satisfied with it, you just need to do a swap. So what a swap does is just takes your main one and switches it with the slot. It's a pretty cool feature.
How do you automate this one?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. This is just, I just wanted to show how easy it is to create the web app in the portal and have it set up quickly. Okay, we set up a deployment slot. Now let's see what about those, what about that auto scaling everybody's talking about, that you automatically have auto scaling when you install a web app in Azure. So there's two ways of scaling in Azure. One is scaling up. That means changing the pricing tier and basically choose a little more powerful machine if you need them. Here, you can even have premium with 4 cores and 7 gigabytes of RAM. There's even more powerful ones. So you switch that. That's scaling up, and scaling out is basically you can scale the instances manually, which is set up in this case, or you can set up an event that triggers the scaling. For example, let's say CPU percentage. So because we chose a pricing plan that has up to 10 instances, we can use up to 10 instances here when we scale. So you can tell it target range for the CPU is, let's say, 60 to 80. So, and you can also set up other things here, because for the sake of time I won't go into, but this one is the basic one, sort of. So what you're saying here is when the target range of the CPU of one machine reaches above 80% for a certain amount of time, then spawn another instance, and another, up until you satisfy the load, up until 10 instances. What it also does is it takes them back if the CPU target range goes below 60 for a certain amount of time. So it's dynamic in your usage. So, and you only pay for what you use during the peak time of the website.
So how does the load balance?
It does everything automatically.
Is there always a load balancer even if you always have one instance? Like in before?
If you have that price tier. If you have the basic one, you don't get this, or the free one.
So now you have up to 10 instances.
Yeah.
Can you use, if you kept this one to 5, can you use the other instances for something else?
No, you just tell it, this is how much I want to pay.
Okay, so
This is how much money I want to spend on scaling, and I want to limit it.
So this
Yes.
is not included in the basic price. So this is
No, no.
5 times.
No.
the
What the price we saw here is basically the maximum that you would get charged
If you have 10
if you had 10 instances, exactly. And they charge you by, I think, by the minute of usage. So,
Can you stress it out so we can see that you're using more instances?
uh,
static web page is hard.
yeah, it's hard to do that right now.
Maybe manual
But-
scaling?
You could write a CPU warmer really quick.
Yeah, manual scaling we can do.
Unlimited load
Yeah,
in JavaScript.
there it is. So now it's working on 7 instances.
Yes, okay. It's fine.
So yeah, Let's get back to our presentation because that's all I wanted to say about web apps for now. Okay. Oh no, it started from the beginning again.
No, I can.
Okay. It's okay. So we now went through web and mobile. Let's see what the compute part of this offer has to say. The compute, it basically contains the virtual machines, which is interface as a service. And the virtual machines is, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what they are and how they work. They offer a wide range of their own images, we call them, of virtual machine, Linux and Windows, with already pre-installed some stuff on some. But you can also upload your own image if you want. So without going too much into virtual machines and stuff, I think it's clear. What cloud services is a very interesting service. Cloud services is if you need a little bit more granularity than the web apps, but you still want to use the platform as a service. So what they did is when you create these cloud services, you create sort of so-called web roles and worker roles. So what you can do is then spread out your web roles through several locations, maybe several data centers in the world, so you can handle traffic from US, from Europe, and then have them handle user input, put it on a service bus or a queue, and have the worker roles process that information and store it in the database or, right, so it's kind of a decoupled enabled architecture, but still platform as a service. That's a pretty cool feature. Service Fabric, I think, it's also fairly new. It's microservices hub. So with this Service Fabric, you can basically create microservices from Visual Studio, from any class. If you have a class that you want to do microservices from, you just deploy it to Azure. And you can also create like a cluster of these. So you can choose on which virtual machines to have which microservices. So you can host 3 on one, 3 on other, and they can all communicate with each other. So that's also pretty cool. Scheduler is pretty much how Windows Scheduler works, only in the cloud sense. So you can schedule it in certain times of day to do specific tasks. And batch processing is parallel processing of large informations of data, straightforward data that needs just pipelining through. Nothing complex analysis, just you have data in parallel, you just let it through some sort of processing and store it somewhere. And you can have it run, if it's not response specific, you can have it run overnight or something. Let's go through data. Data is most important still for Microsoft is SQL Server. So obviously they put most effort into it in the relational database services, and it's supported in 2 ways. One is obviously SQL Server in a virtual machine, and the other one is the SQL. It was called something else before, but now it's called Azure SQL Database, and it's a platform as a service. It's basically what we just did with the web apps. You can also do with the SQL database. So scale it automatically, have set up local redundancy, set up geo redundancy. You know what those are? Yeah. Everything is supported in this platform as a service.
using the APIs?
How do you mean? You
Yeah,
mean the documentation or?
Is it? I guess this will only run on Azure. So if you're investing in Azure, you're pretty much stuck, right? Or
Yeah, if you use the platform as a service, you're sort of tied to it. But not necessarily if you use it through VMs.
you can still backup the database.
Yeah,
You can
we'll
restore it
get to that, yeah,
after-
as well. Tables, key value storage. Microsoft's answer to the key value storage in the cloud. So if you need typed information for fast access, you can use tables. They also support what is called document DB, sort of like Mongo and Cassandra type with JSON data document. And then they support Redis cache. They have their own implementation of the Redis cache for caching purposes. Blobs is just storing big chunks of data on the on the cloud, I was going to say. But on the storage, you can choose levels of storage, just like you could choose web apps pricing tiers. You can choose storage pricing tiers as well. So the level depends how much space you have to save blobs in the cloud. And blobs is like videos and big files, basically, like music, whatever. Import, export, they offer, you can send your data, like literally physical hard drives to them, and they can import it into cloud if you don't want to upload large amounts of data through the web. And files, in terms of file service, are like OneDrive sort of based service, but through an API. So you could use that as well. And search, they provide a search as a service, again, which basically can search through these blobs and through any storage that you have in the cloud. It can set it up to go and search. Sort of like, it sort of works like the new search in the Windows 10, when it searches through everything, through emails and stuff. This one searches through blobs and big chunks of data that you provided.
I have a question.
Yep.
You know about Amazon Glacier?
Glacier?
Yeah, it's
No.
like a long-term storage solution in Amazon's cloud for
Okay.
like backups and stuff, which
Yeah.
you're accessing, but just storing a lot of data. But
Yeah.
Is there some similar?
Yeah, there's some similar. It's called Key Vault, I think, and yeah, and you can there's also Azure backup service, where you can use that service to store data, like you say, and have it kept there. So basically, your whole company's data stored as a backup in the cloud. Is that what you mean, or
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
databases, files,
vast
everything?
amount of data, but cheap. But if
Yeah.
you access it, you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, networking. Virtual network, you can have a combination of cloud and on-premises service, which a lot of companies do, like my current client. And you can extend your virtual network to include the cloud servers as well. So you can, basically, to the user, it doesn't have to make any difference where it should be as if it's in the same network. So that's what this virtual network service provides. ExpressRoute is some sort of direct, secure link that you can have if your operator supports it. So it's kind of more secure than the normal connections, but you need to have a special deal with the operator.
It could be also, you can select a plan to have a flat rate, so you don't pay for the data in the express route.
Yeah, exactly. Then we come to the traffic manager, which is sort of a load balancer, but not exactly. With the traffic manager, you can say, okay, users from the US go through this DNS, and users from Europe goes through that DNS, and you can basically manage which traffic, when it comes from which server, it ends up on, whether it's a data center in the Azure cloud or your own servers on the premise. So we might want our customers here in Sweden to access a server here in Stockholm, but we don't want our US users to access that one. So we set that one through the traffic manager to use a cloud service there. So that's what the traffic manager is for. Developer services. We have the Azure SDK, which you can use to program and automate everything through the code. Whatever we did just now in Visual Studio, you can use the SDK to do that automatically with the code. Visual Studio Team Services. This is TFS, load testing, stuff like that. Application Insights. That's an interesting performance tool, which I will try to show an image. There. Hope it's okay. It's you have all these performance analytics and graphs that it shows. Depending on the price plan, it can show it up to real time or 1 second or 1 minute delay. But the interesting thing is that you can have information from there imported in your tools or in a database or in Power BI or files of whatever you want. So you can basically collect information about users the whole time, sort of like logging. Yep.
How hard can it, how much can it drill down? Can you see like bottlenecks in the code?
Yes, it's actually quite detailed. I looked it up just a while ago. It's quite detailed information. Of course, I didn't understand much of it, but yeah, it looks good. Yeah, that's application insights. So like monitoring, automation. They have it's PowerShell, but it's not the PowerShell from Windows. It's some kind of special PowerShell which you can use to automate tasks like creating virtual machines, deploying database to the SQL server on the virtual machine, and pretty much all deployment tasks that you can imagine being scripted. And API management is a layer on top of the API apps, which you can use to, like, for example, if you provide APIs to another company that needs special security to communicate between each other, the companies, then you would use this API management sort of backend to provide that. Identity and access, you can use Active Directory, again, through the virtual network if you set it up to include on-premises servers and the cloud. Then you can use Active Directory security so that users use their own username and password to access the machines on the cloud as well. Multi-factor authentication, everybody familiar with that? Sort of? Yeah, so it's an service to provide that, basically. We can show you the image, the diagram. Is it? I don't think I have it here. Okay, go on. I thought I had it. Backup, site recovery. that's backup for your website to your machines, on-premise machines, and Azure backup, which is basically backup from your on-premises machines to the cloud. Then we come to messaging and integration. Queues, like I said, maybe you have several instances of websites or web interfaces that need to communicate with workers, and you use queues for communication. And there's two options when it comes to queues. You can use the storage ones for SQL Server, basically, and the service bus one. The service bus is its own service in a way because it's a really big thing. A service bus can have in-memory, it can save the state, and so on. It's quite big. And BizTalk services is when, I guess everybody already knows that. BizTalk services is used when two companies have different formats of data and they need to transform it before they communicate it with each other. So hybrid connections. These are sort of interesting because you can have a special type a configuration to have between your websites and your on-premises network. So it handles firewalls and security and stuff like that. It's like it says here, it's a feature of the BizTalk services. So yeah, then we come to big data and analytics, and Azure provides HD Insight, which is an HTTP Hadoop sort of implementation. You can set up your virtual machines to be clusters for Hadoop and have big data analysis through them. Machine learning service, collect information through. They have APIs, and they support quite a few algorithms for machine learning. And also stream analytics. You can collect streams of data from several different inputs and have them stored and then do an analysis on them as well. So then we come to the end almost. So what we talked about previously. So we looked into which options we have when it comes to infrastructure. For a small or a big company, doesn't matter. We went through what cloud services, briefly went through cloud services in general. We saw what Microsoft Azure has to offer through its catalog of services. And that's the end. So, thank you for your time.